But even that
Yeah,
sentence, Arteta replacement for Fabregas, just sounds fucking wrong. But
yeah,
then the
it's not
final
great.
transfer window that I highlighted as like, what the hell were we thinking? Was 16-17. Now I've mentioned this this transfer window before because it still haunts my dreams. And we spent 113 million euros on Xhaka, Mustafi, Perez, Asano, and Rob Holding. That summer we sold
And wait,
Serge
you,
Gnabry for 5 million that summer.
okay, look, on the Serge Gnabry front, what I will say is he played for Arsenal a few times. He looked okay. He looked quite good. No one knew he was going to be the player he was today. That is like, it's not like there were signs he was going to be world class. It's so annoying. But it wasn't that bad. And then, I mean, what were the other players again? Remind me quickly.
Xhaka, Mustafi, Holding,
yeah.
Asano.
So, what I was going to say with that is the best signing out of that was Holding. And how much was 113 million?
Yeah, he was 5
and didn't
million.
Rob Holding just cost 2 of that?
Yeah, 2 million.
Yeah. So I mean,
exactly.
Mustafi has been an absolute disaster. He's found a little bit of form. I say form. He's not been as bad as he's been before under Arteta. And I mean, Xhaka.
We'll come on to Xhaka.
Yeah.
So all I wanted to say is that last week I spent 50 euros at a brewery, and I still feel guilty about it because I'm like, that was money that I didn't need to spend. How do you look at yourself in the mirror when you spend 140 million on that? I have no idea.
Well, the person whose job it is to do that just looks at his bank account, I'm sure, and thinks, that's fine. I'm pretty sure he's doing all right out of it. Whereas we're stuck with Granit Xhaka and Mustafi. But anyway, those were the 3 transfer windows that I think summed up what has gone wrong in the Emirates era.
And sorry, you just brought up Xhaka. And before we started recording the podcast, I read the headline of an article that was Inter, idea for a swap, Xhaka Eriksson.
I will carry him on my back to you myself.
You should. You should. Because that wouldn't make any sense. But okay, sorry for the...
It's quite an inter-transfer, that, though.
Yeah, sorry for the digression. But yeah, I'll let you guys keep going.
Well, yeah, so I think... And what I noticed going through the transfer window, and this is something that, again, it's a kind of common theme at Arsenal at the moment, is the lack of idea. The amount of players who are bought in quickly and then sold within 3 years is mind-blowing. Like there's...
Yeah, I mean, our biggest thing that we've done for the last 6-7 seasons is look at who is doing well in the French league that doesn't play for PSG and sign them. I mean, Marouane Chamakh, we did it with first. Giroud as well, mate, before Chamakh, sorry. Giroud, I mean, he was a good player for Arsenal, don't get me wrong, but Lacazette, again, had a really good season for Lyon. We signed him. We have this thing of looking to the French league because it tends to be kind of cheaper to go there. Yeah. Who's doing well in the French league? Who's scoring there? Right, let's bring them into Arsenal. And it's quite it's not a good way to scout. Just look at who's doing well in the French league. There needs to be more tact.
Off the back of one season, you're asking for trouble, I think. And again, I think it's that the focus of the club has shifted. It's kind of weird. They're trying to set up a long-term project, but having to get short-term results because everything's getting worse. So our transfers now, we used to sign young players, but now we're signing kind of. And I love Aubameyang, right? But the profile of player he is in his 30s is not the player we used to go for. Signing players like Mkhitaryan, okay? These players that are they're not up and coming anymore. They should be at their peak or maybe past their peak. And I think this is part of the problem that means when it's going wrong short term, it's really hard to fix.
I agree, yeah.
But let's move on to Arteta, okay? Now, can you believe it is only 4 months ago since we lifted the FA Cup?
I can't. And I've seen clips going around Twitter of that goal that we scored, that amazing turning out from the back Man City goal. A couple of things I want to say on that, though. Unbelievable goal. Not going to take anything away from the way that we did that build-up play. Pepe's cross as well Aubameyang. I think Pepe set up both goals in that game. I'd like to point out as well. So another little shout out for Pepe. But I look at that clip, and Man City were not pressing aggressively, and I think that teams are getting fitter now. In the last run up to Christmas, teams are at their peak fitness. I'd say maybe they might drop off after because there's so many games, but they're getting fitter, they're getting sharper. We don't have that time on the ball. I've seen a lot of why can't we do this now? I genuinely don't think we have as much time. If you look at go and watch that Man City clip, and it's unbelievable passing from Arsenal, don't get me wrong, but you can't count one actual attempt of a tackle from Man City. It's like a shadowing. It's like a shadowing training drill. So unbelievable goal. But I think that players are probably sharper than they were maybe at the end of last season, given the kind of what happened with COVID and them coming back early and whatever. But yeah, look, I can't believe it's been 4 months. Arteta, I like Arteta in the terms of I really like how his persona. I like how he sounds in interviews. After every match, I'm so angry at him. And then I listen to him in a post-match interview and I go, oh, I do like you. I want him to do well. And he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Look, we're in a bad spot. And, now is the time where really you'd probably want an experienced manager that isn't going to take these results too emotionally. And I imagine that Arteta, he's new, kind of like a baby manager, if you want. He's going to get upset about this, and there's definitely going to be an emotional reaction. But look, like I said, we lost 3 home games in a row, was it, before Southampton, and I thought that we did respond well in that second half, and it would have been so easy for that first Theo Walcott to score against Arsenal.
I was so certain of it. I'm so angry I did not put money on it. I'm just pissed off at myself.
And it was such a Walcott finish as well. He loves that little shit. Anyway, by the way, that probably is the best game I've seen Walcott play at the Emirates.
Hands down. Absolutely hands down.
He turned up. Honestly, he has not played that well for us.
Yeah, no.
On that performance, he'd walk into our front three as well.
That's not saying much, but yeah, you're right.
Also, I'd like to quickly say about Theo, fair play for him celebrating. He was kind of cast out of Arsenal. He's lost his pace a little bit, whatever. He come back to his boyhood club. He scored against Arsenal. Let him celebrate. He deserves it. But yeah, back to Arteta. I think I like him as a person. I like him as a manager. I want him to do well. I do think that he is over tactical. When we were speaking about Willian at the start briefly and his whole stop and doesn't run thing. Look, Arteta has trained under Guardiola, and Guardiola is a very positionally focused manager. I heard an interview with Henry where he talks about how he was playing on the right or playing on the left, and the whole play was down the right, and then Henry went over to the right to join in, scored a goal, and then Pep brought him off because he didn't stay in his position. And Arteta is obviously got that. He's trained under Pep, and this is how he should play. Right? This is the football he wants to play. The difference is that we don't have the players that Man City has. So you can play that positionally focused style if you have someone in the centre of midfield that can run the game, like De Bruyne, like David Silva. Arsenal don't have that. We have Granit Xhaka and Dani Ceballos. So that overly tactical, staying in your zones football isn't going to work when you don't have players in the middle of the park that can boss the match.
Well, I think, and these are the two things you mentioned are the two things that I think are being exposed in Arteta. It's his inexperience is massively being exposed. He's had, in terms of starting a job, he's had about as tough a start as you can have, between COVID, between injuries, between a myriad of things, between players just deciding to get sent off. And that's a lot for a young manager to deal with. And also the inexperience of him not being able to tailor the tactics to the fact that he doesn't have the players he needs. I feel like last season he was being a bit more pragmatic, whereas this season he's gone, okay, this is the system I want to play. We're going to play this system. And you're right, he doesn't have the player he needs. But what he needs to do find a system that's going to work, because we need the short-term fix. I think, we would love to have an experienced hand at the till now. I 100% believe Arteta's the right man for the job. I think he is going. I think if we sack him, he's going to go somewhere else and win a lot of things.
Yeah, I agree. He will be a good manager. Yeah. I think we need to ride it out. I think we need to look. The season's not going to be enjoyable. Hopefully, we find a bit of form. You know, I'd be looking at kind of 8th, 7th for a best possible finish this season, and that's not good. Yeah. I know. And look, there's still 2/3 of the season to come. Yeah. Notoriously, we've always had a bad November and Christmas. We normally, as a club, for whatever reason, the last kind of 10 games of the season, we normally do well in. So if we can find that form a bit earlier and have a good run, and then focus on the Europa, and then build for next season, you know, if Arteta can come through this rough patch, there is no doubt that he will be stronger and more determined. There will, you know, it's never going to be as bad as it is right now for Arteta. I really don't think that. And if we can get through it, he'll be stronger. The club will be stronger, and hopefully the players will have confidence in him as well.
So my question is Arteta's position, is it on the line considering the results he will achieve, or more considering on what the other teams in the Premier League will achieve? Jack.
I think it probably is on the line. Not for me personally. It wouldn't be on the line for me, but, you know, if I'm the owners and this club that I'm investing 45 million in the summer, and obviously I know it's, you know, not a lot and we want him to do more, but if I'm the owner and I'm looking at that, you know, there is going to be that temptation of going, right, this is wrong. Maybe we made a mistake. Let's get Allegri in. Okay. I hope that doesn't happen. I think Allegri probably would do well. I don't think he'd win us any titles. I don't think it would happen. He might have a positive effect. My mum was asking me why it's going so wrong with Arteta now compared to the start of the season. You look at every manager has a honeymoon effect.
Yeah. You know, you get the bounce.
They come in, you get the bounce. And that would probably happen if we got rid of Arteta and someone came in, because, you know, there's always a new energy and that always translates to the pitch. But no, I think his job probably is on the line with the owners. I don't want it to be. And I hope that, you know, this kind of second half performance with Southampton will springboard us into having a better result. I mean, if we go to Goodison Park and get a result there, it's a big if, and I know I get excited before every game, no matter how bad we're doing. This is just classic Arsenal fan. But I mean, if we can get something from that and build on that, you know, hopefully we can springboard and focus on Europa.
Well, that's quite interesting. So I kind of get the feeling that Arteta is under no threat whatsoever. I get the idea that the board are completely 100% behind him. I think
they say that, but if he then went and lost to Everton and lost to Brighton,
they would have to do something, right? They would have to do something.
Yeah, they would. I mean,
this seems like a good opportunity to say, we're both kind of saying that Arteta might not be the main problem. I'm going to move on to what I think the main problem is, and that is the team.
You're not going to say Granit Xhaka, are you?
I think he might pop up, but I'm going to start at the back, and we're going to move forward like Arsenal don't do often. And we're going to start with the goalkeeper situation, right? I still like Bernd Leno. I think he's a very good keeper. I think last season he was probably in the top 4 or 5 keepers in the league, maybe a bit higher. Now all of a sudden his position's been cast into doubt because of Martinez, right? And Martinez came in and did so incredibly well, and I will always love that man for the FA Cup run that we had and what he did. But what do you think of Leno? Do you think we made the right decision in keeping Leno? I think we made the right decision in keeping Leno, but what do you think?
It's a difficult one. I think no matter what happens, they're both class keepers, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not really too sure who's better. I think Leno might be slightly better at saving shots. I think he's a really good shot stopper. Martinez commands the box better and might be a little bit better with his feet. But it's a difficult one. I think that if we'd have kept Martinez and he'd have made a couple of mistakes, it would be the same thing. I think it was kind of a lose-lose situation. The fans love Martinez because he's been at the club for so long and he's obviously a fan. And it was always, the thing is, he's going to Villa. So the thing about that transfer is no one's going to blame him if they lose or concede goals because it's Villa. But everyone's going to praise him if he does a good